of recording this video, we're a little over a week away from officially spring in New England, Cape Cod, well, in the whole country. I wanted to put together this video to kind of go over what's been a wacky last 6 weeks or so as far as weather goes. Those of you that follow me on social media, you know that I've had a big bump in my social media presence due to my constant filming of the frozen Cape Cod, I've been calling it, mainly the north side, the bay side, being pretty much frozen over for the better part of a month. This is something that we get it probably every few years. Like, it's not something that happens every year, regardless of what people might think. Like last winter, I don't remember anything in terms of ice chunks, ice flows, but every few years you get it where the temperatures are cold for long enough, and we had a really cold winter. It started before winter. Like the first week of December, temperatures were down in the 20s, and it's like, oh my God, it's like too cold too soon. So what ends up happening is if those temperatures keep up like that, even ocean water starts to freeze, starts to get cold. And so what I've got over here, I've got my phone open because what I want to do is kind of give you an overview of the frozen Cape Cod timeline, put some videos up here that I shot. For those of you that might not be familiar with what's gone on, those of you from the Cape, New England probably are, because I think in a lot of your areas, you know, North Shore, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maine, you've probably got similar things. For me, this adventure in social media relevancy started back on January 28th. I had an account on Instagram, the Boston Calendar, and they're probably close to 350,000 followers. They reached out to me unprompted out of nowhere and said, hey, have you happened to get any video of the slush waves on Cape Cod? And I was like, ooh, I didn't even know there were any. So I said, no, I haven't, but I'll go check, because my route to work, I'm very close to the north-facing beaches. So it's not far out of the way to take a left, go down to the beach. You can see, usually from the parking lots, you see, oh, are there slush waves? Yes, no. So what ended up happening was I went to a beach on the north side, and this was January 28th. It was in the morning. So I get to the parking lot, I look out, I can see the slush waves. They're basically like off-white, cream color, because it's, you know, water that's mixed with ice. It looks like a soda, if you have a soda with a lot of ice, like the shredded ice in it. I guess it looks like that. I'm putting up the video of it so you can see. What I did was I walked down through the snowpack that was there, and it began a tradition of the last several weeks of me getting my shoes soaked before I went to work. So I'm walking down, and I get to where I think the edge of the water is. The slush waves are coming in, but I'm on the snow, and I'm thinking, well, snow is frozen. I might get a little wet, but actual water might be different. So I'm filming the video of the slush waves, and suddenly I can feel my feet getting cold, really cold, like toes going numb. I'm like, oh no, I'm standing in the water, but you've got to get the video. So I got 30 seconds worth of video, sent it to the Boston Calendar. We collaborated. They shared the video, Cape Cod slush waves, and it blew up. It's the first thing I've ever done that's gone viral. As of this moment, it's about 1.3 million views on Instagram, which I wasn't expecting. I would go to Instagram and, you know, check my likes, followers, etc. And suddenly everything was blowing up, which made me glad I don't have notifications on. From there, it was kind of off to the races. The thing that I didn't know, and I'm sure most of you don't know about viral videos, a lot of it is luck. If I could have predicted what would go viral, I'd have gone viral 1,000 times by now. So it was like, oh, the slush waves are, you know, something that people like. Let me go get similar videos. The only problem was the slush waves were here and gone. not because it got warm, but because it kept getting cold. So instead of there being slush waves, things started to freeze over. So I started to go to places nearby that I've gone to a million times on Cape Cod and gotten videos of. But with now thousands, hundreds of thousands of more eyes on my stuff, it all took on new meaning. I went to Bass Hole, aka Grays Beach, in Yarmouth Port. I got videos of the boardwalk, of the beach itself. Lo and behold, the videos of the boardwalk with the ice overtaking the beach area started to get a lot of views as well. So you could see where this was going to go. I started to realize videos, mostly videos, but also some photos of Cape Cod's frozen areas people really liked and they gravitated towards. What ended up happening over the next month was me pretty much every day, morning and night, finding places to go, mostly on the north side. The south side was like not frozen much at all, so I knew where I would go. I think I went once over to Lewis Bay in West Yarmouth, and there was a little bit of ice, but nothing like the north side. Because as the temperature stayed cold and things froze on the beaches, it was just a mass of ice, as far as you could see. Now, mainly, the reason it was on the north side is we have these giant tidal flats. They start in Dennis, which is about halfway down the Cape, and go to usually Eastham Wellfleet. If Cape Cod is an arm, it's like the crook of the elbow of the arm. And that's where things will erode, but the sand just collects on the tidal flats. So what happens is the ice will then collect there as well. And me, growing up on Cape Cod, going through the frozen Cape Cod experience a handful of times in the past, it's like you know what you can do safely. I'm sure a lot of people that weren't familiar with me, that saw my content on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, they would say, God, this guy's crazy. Why is he walking on the ice? And yes, to a degree, I wouldn't recommend it. I had many times, I was at Rock Harbor in Orleans. I slipped a few times down on my hips, my knees, bruised up. But my risks were always calculated. I never went out at high tide. I never walked further than I was confident that I could, if I happened to go through the ice, that it wouldn't be deeper than my hips. I know that doesn't make it seem any safer, and it wasn't, but those of you that know me know the whole idea of dedication to the craft. Me and my buddy Steve, this was many years ago. I was taking a photo of a place called Avery Point Lighthouse in Connecticut, and I wanted a picture down in the rocks looking up at the lighthouse. I went down in the rocks, slipped on some algae, went down on my hip and my elbow, and I mean, smashed them. My elbow hurt like hell, but I protected my camera. And from that spot, I took a picture looking up at the lighthouse, and we called it dedication to the craft, meaning you get the photo you want, and you almost push away common sense while you're going to get that photo. For me, it became just like a fun little game to go get a video knowing that it was going to get possibly 10, 20, 50,000 views. Because that was what I had always wanted, was the idea was to build a social media presence with my content, Cape Cod photos, videos, whatever it was, and translate those new eyes into potential podcast listeners, book purchasers, video watchers, things like that. Because that's my whole thing. Self-employed content creator. You know, audio, visual, literary. So it was always fun to go to somewhere like the beaches in Dennis, Brewster, Orleans, and safely walk out onto the ice because I knew my surroundings. And I'm one that I never would tell people you need to come out on the ice. I would say you need to come to the beach and see, but I knew that what I was doing, in my mind, I knew what I was doing. I didn't want just anyone and everyone coming down and just wandering hundreds of feet offshore onto ice floes, even at their peak, when they were frozen solid for half a mile or more out, you still have to be careful. I slipped one time. I was at, I think it was Bayview Beach in Dennis. I went down in among the ice chunks because I could see a photo in my head, dedication to the craft. And you could see it there. I'm like probably up to my neck. And I got this amazing photo. And then it was just like, okay, well, how do we get out of here? And my buddy Steve was texting me at the time, and I sent him a picture of where I was. And he said, all right, if you're not out in 10 minutes, send me a message. I'll come save you. I got out. It was just a matter of kind of smashing the ice chunks and creating a ramp. But that was the type of stuff. I wanted to create content that people, the average person, either wouldn't go and see, couldn't go and see. So that's what it was. There were loads of amazing sunset photos where I'd be out there with my selfie stick, which is sitting over there, and just getting pictures like high elevations or low elevations of the ice and just things that you may never see again. I say that these frozen Cape Cod things happen every few years. I don't know when it's going to be this bad again. In 2015, it was pretty serious. Before then, I think the last really serious extended time that the Bayside was frozen was 2003. So if it's every 10, 11 years, I had to get as much as I could. I mean, you can see in the videos I'm sharing, and I'm putting labels where they're from, because I'm going to do this after, post-editing. So I don't know. I'm trying to go a little bit in order, but I've got hundreds of videos from the last 6 weeks. Like, my phone is cluttered. But it was a lot of Cold Storage Beach, Sassuat Harbor, where it was frozen, but then temperatures every now and then would get up into the mid-upper 30s, so you get a little melting, then refreezing. That's when it started to get dangerous to where I was less inclined to go out on the ice. It's knowing your surroundings. I knew if the temperature stayed below freezing consistently for weeks, the ice was safe. Once it started getting above freezing, even briefly, you had to take into consideration the possibility. So it was go at low tide and then don't go quite as far. And I knew what happened eventually was the temperatures would get above freezing, below freezing enough that I knew that the ice floes were going to start melting. They were going to get smaller and smaller. It started from Dennis, working its way eastward where there was less and less ice. We got some amazing ice chunks, like the size of SUVs, school buses. You can see the videos. I've got a couple different ones. One is from Breakwater Beach in Brewster. The other is from Crosby Beach in Brewster. One of the new things that I've started to like doing that is a crutch I'm probably going to rely on a lot is I take my selfie stick, and instead of having it facing upward with the phone up here, I flip it upside down, and I walk with my phone like an inch off the ground, and it's this perspective shot. You can see with the ice chunks there, it's this wild world that you wouldn't normally see. Maybe you'll never see again. So I got as many videos like that as I could. I went back to places like Bass Hole. The boardwalk there has been severely damaged. We had a blizzard where we got close to 2 feet of snow, but winds over 70 miles an hour, basically taking those ice chunks that you've seen, pushing them into the boardwalk. And so those videos, they were sad because that boardwalk's going to take forever to repair. But I got a lot of interesting photos. I would set up the selfie stick and go stand out on the ice. So it's like these, you can see long distance shot of just the expanse of ice and me out there. I had a few I would set the timer and run, and I'm just like, please don't fall. So the picture is me like sliding in the air. The neat thing is, even now, I mean, all the ice is gone. Even now, I've got like unreleased videos that I'm saving for when it's warm in the summer to be like, oh, remember this? You know, when it's 95 and people are saying, oh, it's too hot. Like, do you want this back with the ice? I did my last adventure as far as being on the ice was February 13th at Skakit Beach, low tide. You could walk, half a mile out, and it was totally safe. You still had to watch out because you could slip and fall, which that happened enough. A few days later, the ice was breaking up. There were still some chunks. There were neat ice caves. You can see at Bayview Beach, there was this cave. It wasn't big enough to crawl into, but this was now where it was a mix of the flats and the ice. So you got these really cool videos that you'll probably never see again. Then we had the blizzard, which ruined everything with so much snow. But as we got to the end of February, the first few days of March, it was like a full circle moment. I went to the beach before work, like I always do, and I could see slush waves again. It was full circle. So this was March 2nd. It's like we went all the way around. January 28th, slush waves to all the frozen Cape Cod, to blizzard, to ice chunks and damage and the thawing out. And then back March 2nd to more slush waves. It was wild. And then what was neat was I was lucky I got the video of the slush waves and they looked amazing. I was going to go back after work and get sunset videos of the slush waves. Nope. It was low tide. The slush waves were gone, but they were there as these little tiny piles of ice. So I was able to do my little upside down selfie stick walk through. And that was kind of the end of it. The ice melted. Temperatures after the blizzard got up in the 40s. I said they even touched the 50s. So it was like a 6-week experience. I got loads of photos and videos, as you've seen. I don't know when they're ever going to look like this again on Cape Cod. I got thousands of new followers on social media, which has led to an uptick in podcast views. So success there. And it's going to be the same thing. I'm going to do a lot more Cape Cod videos. I've noticed that Reels get a lot more views than photo carousels on Instagram. So I wish I could tell you I knew how you could go viral. It's like you try to get on trends, but I don't have time for that. So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, hoping that the people that have started following me like Cape Cod in the spring and summer, like sunsets, things in bloom, stuff like that. We'll see. I'll be able to let you know by the time next winter rolls around how successful the other 3 seasons were. But there you go. I wanted to shoot a video, kind of a retrospective on the 6 weeks that Cape Cod had its frozen bayside. Loads of videos, pictures, kind of my explanations of what I was doing, my thought process. So I hope you enjoy it. And maybe next year we'll have stuff like this again. Probably not. It'll probably be another 10 years until we get frozen Cape Cod again. But we'll always have the memories and these final images of the ice chunks on Cape Cod.